TRIGUN. Many of you may have heard about it at least once in your lifetime, especially when you consider the release of its remake TRIGUN Stampede, which released in early 2023. But today's topic will be the origins of TRIGUN Stampede, the original TRIGUN, which was released in the 90s and is one of the most iconic anime alongside others which defined that era of anime, such as Cowboy Bebop, Hajime no Ippo, Lane, Vampire Hunter D, GTO and many others. Just like Escaflowne, which I talked about in my last video, I had TRIGUN on my watchlist for quite a while now, and since my brother has been recommending it to me for several years by now, I finally gave it a shot and actually realized what I had been missing out on for all this time. So let me take you on a journey into the absurd and chaotic wasteland which shines through its character designs, ambience and creativity. This is TRIGUN. A devastating wasteland. Everywhere you look, sand meets the eye, on a planet where water supplies are rare and ruthless bandits are trying to make a name for themselves. This is where the story of TRIGUN takes place. However the circumstances of this unforgiving desert, we are following the story of a light-hearted protagonist, Vash. Vash the Stampede. At the beginning we are given rather few information about our protagonist, outside of him being very comedic and light-hearted. We find out that he got his nickname through a series of events which always led to leaving behind tremendous amounts of damage in the cities that he stayed in. It's implied that he therefore has a bounty on his head worth of $60 billion. Imagine what you could do with that amount of money. That's what a lot of people in TRIGUN actually think too. So a lot of bounty hunters have set it as their goal to catch Vash and to collect his bounty. He's later accompanied by Meryl Strife and Millie Thompson, two insurance agents which work for the Benedelli Insurance Society. Both of them seem relatively innocent at first, but later on prove that they are rather useful companions, both in combat as well as in the aspect of emotional support. Originally, they were sent to find Vash to negate the amount of damage that can be caused, which their insurance company later has to pay for, but eventually they keep accompanying him because they catch a liking to him and want to know more about the reasons why Vash ends up in these devastating situations. Along their journey, they eventually meet a priest, Nicholas D. Wolfwood. He's introduced as a wandering priest who helps people in need and tries to earn some money for those who need it the most. He and Vash form a rather close relationship and always act like they have been buddies since their entire life. Even though they have their differences, it always feels like they have some sort of connection that no one else except themselves can understand. I mean, like in these brothers in arms type of way. I don't actually know. Now to our main protagonist, Vash. As I already mentioned, he's depicted as a very light-hearted and comedic character, but don't let the look fool you, because he uses his foolish behavior as a mask to hide his identity and his inner pain and conflicts. At times he cannot keep up his facade and changes into his more serious character, which is rarely shown when he is accompanied by others. He does not hesitate to help where help is due and to even catch a bullet for that. Behind his comedic demeanor lies a tragic past and that not many know about. And even though his reputation says otherwise, he never tries to harm anyone, as his number one rule is to never kill somebody and to spread love and peace. He has an infinite amount of hope towards humanity and always believes in the good heart of every person that he meets. On their journey they will be met with several encounters of the Gung Ho Guns, which is a group of assassins that tries to kill Vash and takes its orders from his nemesis, Millions Knives. Vash and Knives share a rich history together, and Knives is the main point of his inner conflicts. But without spoiling too much and getting too far into the story, I just wanted to give you a little overview of what you can expect when watching the anime yourself. So let's head right into what makes TRIGUN so special. As I mentioned in the beginning, TRIGUN mostly shines through its creativity, ambience and character designs, at least in my opinion. It succeeds in creating a world that is super chaotic and believable. It never fails to set the mood appropriately with its scenery and a fitting soundtrack. It just catches the vibe of an endless desert with limited resources perfectly. The animation is simple but fluid and expressive when it needs to be. There have been many examples of the scene changing drastically from being comedic and simple to a more serious and impulsive tone, which is something that I really like, as it is mostly used to remind the viewer of the rather serious story that is actually playing out in the background. One perfect example of another anime that executes this very well is Cowboy Bebop. Just like in Bebop, Trigun plays out like random episodes in the beginning with little side stories of its own and is slowly building the characters so you get interested in them and grow attached. And at some point the main story gets revealed and the whole feeling of the anime shifts into a more serious and sad tone. The character designs are phenomenal, especially the random villains and the gang of guns stand out immediately. They all have different types of abilities which vary drastically from one another, but especially the looks of them set them apart. There have been so many encounters with some of the villains where I was just gazing at the looks of the characters and every little detail that went into these character designs. But not only that, but the world building in itself supports the looks of each of those characters. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm a giant fan of seeing what people can come up with, and I absolutely love it when they can find the right balance of something extraordinary and making it fit into their own stories. Now, I want to give you a brief comparison between the differences between the OG Trigun and the newer version Trigun Stampede. But I have not seen it entirely by now, and the main differences I can say without spoiling too much is that Stampede is actually a prequel of its predecessor. It also rewrites a lot of the characters' relationships, as some of them meet way earlier than they should if you think about it being a prequel to the OVA. And to be honest, I don't know how to feel about it right now. I do like the visual art style of Stampede, and I think that it is one perfect example of how to do CGI in anime, as it feels very fluid and does not look ugly like in many other instances. Also, I get goosebumps every time that this part of the soundtrack plays. But I think Stampede is a topic for another video when I completed watching it. Let me know if you would like to see a video with me talking about it in the comments. In conclusion, Trigun is a masterpiece. I hate to use the word masterpiece too often because it kind of loses its power, but there is no better fitting way to describe it, as it is just that, a masterpiece, and I have slept on it way too long. I highly recommend it to every single one who is watching this video, be it your first time watching it or rewatching it after a long time. I can assure you that it is definitely worth your time. It is a perfect example of a fleshed out world with a western/sci-fi setting, characters with interesting and engaging arcs, and an entertaining story with a serious and sad undertone. And if you're an anime fan with a fable for 90s anime like me, then I don't know what else is there left to say, except why are you still watching this video? Go watch Trigun. Case closed.